Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I have with me Venu and Usher from Cricket4Us 2.0, and we're going to go over the Bangladesh versus West Indies first ODI in. Can I remember where it was?
Qatar.
There you go. Venu just finishes my words for me. We've just got that kind of affinity. Hopefully, my wife doesn't get too jealous. Anyway, let's move on. So, West Indies gave 6 people a debut actually today. Very briefly, fielding a pretty different team and squad to what we're usually used to seeing from West Indies. I think a mixture of people feeling uncomfortable because of the current climate and also, I don't know, priorities, pay, whatever it might be. Let's not go into it because I don't know the complete ins and outs and I'm not in there, but let's just say they weren't at their full strength. So Shakib Hosein was making his debut on Andre McCarthy, Kemar Holder, Joshua De Silva, Carl Mayers, and Kumar Bona. I'm going to go with that. And Hassan Mahmood for Bangladesh made his debut. So Bangladesh won the toss and elected to field first. So let's go into the West Indies innings, and a pretty interesting one with Sunil Ambrose and Joshua De Silva, who's meant to be quite highly rated in a lot of people's books, was the player to watch out for in 2021. Obviously not after a very good start and an innings that pretty much was a disappointment, let's say, to say the least. Let's touch on the openers. Venu, what do you think?
Yeah, I was quite looking forward to seeing Joshua De Silva, but I was quite impressed by how he played against Pakistan. It was a Pakistan series. No, New Zealand. New Zealand, yeah. So, but yeah, a bit disappointing to be honest how they got out. And that review, I think one of the ways to review was a plum. But yeah, they didn't get a good start, West Indies. And you know, when I was watching, I thought it was a T20 match when they were in a 4 for 56. I thought, wait, is this a T20 match? But when I realised it's 50 overs, I was thinking, yeah, to get bowled out for 122, you know, that's game, set, and match. Just like when Sri Lanka got bowled out for 135 in the first innings of the England Test match, you know, there's no coming back from it, is there? So yeah, disappointing from West Indies, that's for sure.
Yes, I think, as you said, Joshua De Silva highly rated, but the Fizz doing it again, as he's called, Mustafizur Rahman. I mean, cleaned up both openers. The first one, LBW, which, to be honest, Sunil Ambrose got offside with the ball. Pretty poor from him. I think he will be disappointed in the way he got out LBW like that, especially as he was, 7 or 5. So a strike rate 140 doesn't really mean much at that point, but he did a 6 and he obviously didn't look too shaky. And Josh De Silva, this was an absolutely cracking catch by Lytton Das. So Mustafa is, I can't even, I'm just going to say the Fizz. The Fizz running in to Josh De Silva, and he goes to drive a really, I would say, extravagant, expansive drive, let's say, on the up, ends up only having one hand on the bat in the end. But the ball goes flying to Lytton Das's right at gully, dives, I'm pretty sure it's one-handed, dives one-handed, and it's just a great grab. Usher, what do you think of that grab by Lytton Das?
Fantastic. I could not believe it. Like, I thought that was just going to fly off for 4, right? And that dive, I think they replayed like 5-6 times just because they realized he just took one of the best catches of the year. Well, I know the year just started, but you know what I mean. It's a really good catch. And then post that point, it looked like that West Indies were trying to build a sort of innings. Again, scoring a partnership of 20 runs or something isn't a proper partnership, but in this instance, because they lost those 2 wickets quite quickly, it looked like they were building a foundation. And then Shakib and Hosein, playing his first match back for Bangladesh, comes in and just bowls an arm ball. Then it goes straight on, and he didn't realize it. I can't remember who the batsman was.
McCarthy. Yeah.
He sweeps over it, bowled him, and Shakib and Hosein bowled brilliantly today. You're going to talk about his figures shortly, but yeah, he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so making his return to the Bangladesh team after some, again, I'm not going to go into it, but basically he's been out for a little bit of time because of, I guess, politics, let's say, and a little bit of unrest with the with the Bangladesh board, let's say, which I don't know too much about, so I don't want to go into it too much. But from a cricketing perspective, really good to see him back. He's a class act, let's be honest. In my opinion, I'd say in ODI cricket, in terms of all-rounders, I feel like he's the best around. I mean, he showed that last year, 2019, so 2 years ago now in the World Cup, he got player of the tournament, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did. And he had the best stats overall in terms of with the bat and all-round stats. And here, didn't do too much with the bat, but with the ball he did. Let's go into him then a little bit because Ashton's mentioned him. So, yeah, as you said, his figures were really, really good. 7.2 overs, so cleaned up. I think he got the last wicket it was Joseph in the end. 7.2 overs for only 8 runs, 4 wickets, so an economy of 1.09. So this is the type of thing that would be incredible figures in a test match. Venny, what do you think of Shakib and Hosein? I mean, clearly he utilised the conditions really well and a great comeback from a bowling perspective, surely.
Yeah, as I said, I think Shakib is probably the best all-rounders going in ODI cricket, that's for sure. Definitely the best spinning all-rounder, that's for sure. And if you were to, make a world ODI 11, Shakib will probably be maybe your first or second pick. Maybe you put Ben Stokes in there first and then put Shakib in second. But yeah, it's quality, and to show what Bangladesh have been missing over the last year, the fact he got 4 wickets, it just made it look easy. Just made it look really easy. I don't think the West Indies batsmen helped. I don't think I think they could have played him a lot better, but still fantastic player, and I'm really glad he's back on the international stage.
Yeah, 100%. And I think he was backed up nicely by Mehdi Hassan, who I've seen in the flesh because I was lucky enough to see Pakistan Bangladesh in the World Cup, and he was really tidy bowler, off spinner, 7 overs for 1 wicket, 4.14 economy, so not as miserly as Shakib, but I thought he bowled quite well. And the debutant Hassan Mahmood bowled quite well. Well, he did bowl well. He got 3 wickets in the end, and he did well to clean up the tail. So from that point of view, and we know that how good the Fizz is, he has been for a number of years, opening the bowling, and he gets that swing into the right hander that's so dangerous. And they've got Rubal Hussain. I'm not sure whether they're going to stick with him or I know they've got some other fast bowlers around as well, but he did decently well. And as Venu said, the West Indies batsmen didn't really help themselves, let's be honest. But one little bright spark was Kyle Myers making his debut in ODI cricket, 40 or 56. And I thought his timing looked pretty impeccable, to be honest. And he's a left-hander. He looks like a star in the making. So let's go to you, Ashton. What do you think of that knock? And are we going to see him? I'm assuming we're going to see more of him, but can he be a big star potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I remember in the T20s when West Indies were playing New Zealand, there was a bit of hype on Kyle Mayers and Rahman Powell, both of them, and they both played a decent knock today, formed a decent little partnership there. And I thought personally, Kyle Mayers, timing-wise, yeah, he has a good eye. Let's just put it that way. He has a good eye for hitting the balls that need to be hit, and it hits right in the middle of the bat. So personally, I thought he was very impressive to watch. One thing I do want to say, though, you mentioned Hassan Mahmood. Just want to talk about that. On debut, he bowled an absolute brilliant delivery to Rahman Powell, right? It was, again, it's bad to compare players, but it just moved. It looked amazing. It was like Dale Steyn-esque, if you know what I mean. Like, it just pitched on off, just moved away slightly, and it just got the nick. So personally, I thought it was just fantastic. I think it was a really nice debut. As you said, 3 for 28. But I think Kyle Mayers is someone who is going to play across the entire tour, at least in these ODIs, 100%. And same thing with Rahman Powell. I know Rahman Powell is a player who they try and utilize as a finisher, but in this scenario, he couldn't just be the finisher. So he was a bit out of his scope. But in the end, I think he was the 2nd or 3rd highest scorer in this innings, which doesn't mean a lot, but in the end, they were bowled out quite cheaply, weren't they?
Yeah, so Rahman Powell and Kyle Mayers putting on 59-run partnership. So at that point, it looked like they might be able to rebuild, but then Rahman Powell fell and Kyle Mayers fell soon after. Actually, the next ball after, I think Rahman Powell fell. Hassan Mahmood, as you said, bowled a real peach to Raymond Rifer, trapping him LBW, nice full ball and a little bit of nip off the seam again. And he looks like a really good talent coming through. So Bangladesh cricket looks like it's in a pretty good state at the moment. Let's then move on to the Bangladesh innings. Look, I mean, chasing 1-2-2, I think we can all pretty much agree, especially in home conditions, they were the favourites and 90% chance of chasing this down at least, I would say. With the batting lineup they've got, I know gone are the days when Bangladesh have a weak batting lineup. They've got a strong one here. Litton Das opened up with Tamim Iqbal, the captain, for today as well. Litton Das, actually, interesting to see him opening the batting. It doesn't normally do so. Scored very, very slowly, but I guess they could do given the score. But Tamim Iqbal, 44 of 69. And look, I mean, he's a class act and has been for quite some time. Vanu, just Tamim showing his class, I guess, today.
Showing his class, showing his experience, and showing his leadership skills as well. It was the captain's knock from him.
Yeah, 100%. Some really nice, I think, a couple of cover drives in there, some free-flowing shots. It's interesting because I don't think the Bangladesh players, I do think West Indies bowled particularly well. I think they did bowl quite well. Azari Joseph has been a standout ODI bowler for not just West Indies, but in world cricket for the last year or so. And he didn't pick up a wicket, but he was very miserly, only an economy of 2.13. And I think there's a lot of respect shown to him because he's clearly a skillful bowler. Kemar Holder making his debut was a bit disappointing, going for 8.67, 3 overs for 26. But the person that I really liked seeing was Shakib Hosein. So let's touch upon him then, because look, this really was a game for the left-arm spinners. Shakib got a 4-fer, Shakib Hosein got 3, and clearly both of them utilised the turning nature of this pitch. Dusty, dry conditions in Bangladesh, as we know, the subcontinent is. But his left arm spin, I thought, it just looked quite refined. And to me, it looks like he goes through his action properly, puts good revs on the ball, has good variation, and he ended up with figures of 10 overs for 26, 1 maiden and 3 wickets. Ashdod, how good was he today on debut as well?
Yeah, the delivery I think it was Litton Das. The delivery got Litton Das with. It pitched on leg stump and it hit off stump around the wicket. And that's the type of delivery that just makes you happy. So I think the skill he has, because he's a 27-year-old, he's been playing cricket domestically in West Indies for quite some time. His List A bowling average, I think, is under 25. So for me, I think that shows that he's a pretty decent bowler, to be honest. And he got his debut finally because there's so many West Indians not playing. He's one of the 6. And I think he was the standout. Alzari Joseph, as you mentioned, he was the guy who ripped Pakistan apart in that World Cup game, wasn't he? Yeah, so I remember that.
I don't think he played that one. It wasn't him. It was it was the other youngster. Shane Thomas. Yeah, Shane Thomas, because me and Venny were there.
Don't mention that day.
How can I forget him? Yeah, me and Venny. Well, Venny drove a very long period of time for us to go and see Pakistan get cleaned up in that World Cup game. But yeah, Shane Thomas. Azari Joseph hadn't quite hit the scene yet.
Oh, damn. Right, fair enough. Again, he's still really good. I know I've seen him in the IPL a little bit, and I've seen him for West Indies, and he's a pretty decent bowler. One thing I'm really impressed with from the West Indian side, even though they've taken their second or third string team, they still showed some fight with the ball. Not with the bat as per se, but with the ball, especially with the spinners. You have Shakib Hosein, you had the captain, Jason Mohammed, bowling very well. So that was very impressive to see. But the others just couldn't support these two as much. Because again, they bowled 18 overs together. Okay, these guys, and Kemar Holder or Shimar Holder, however it's pronounced. Sorry, I think I saw him in the second test against New Zealand, and he looked pretty impressive. He is a bowler who's very talented. In the domestic scene, he's been considered a guy who will be one of the greats of West Indies in the future. So he's been given that title already. So let's see how he does on the international stage. He only bowled 3 overs. I can't judge it just on 3 overs personally. But if this was a T20, 0 for 26 and 3 overs, ain't too bad, is it? But this time around, I think they helped control the runs, Shakib Hosein and Jason Mohammed. But in the end, Tamim Iqbal was too good, I think. His 44, yes, you expect Tamim Iqbal to be one of those openers who comes in and just bashes the ball from the beginning. But that captaincy role has given that responsibility or accountability where he knows that, oh, I need to stay here, I need to build an innings. I think getting 44 in a chase of 125 is good enough, honestly. The batting lineup for Bangladesh, there's only one person in the top 6 that I don't know of. And the 5 that I know are absolute geniuses with the bat.
Yeah, Najmul Hussain Shanto, I haven't really seen much of him. He got out for one though, so I didn't see much more of him either. But yeah, so Mushfiqur Rahim and Muhammadullah saw them home. As I said, pretty easy chase. Got it in 33.5 overs, so a lot of overs to spare. Let's say that. In terms of the bowling, yeah, you're right. Jason Muhammad reminds me a little bit of Jason Holder. He seems like he's got that responsibility to bowl and bat. Interesting to see, obviously, Jason Holder not in this series as well. I would like to have seen how they would have lined up with a full strength side. I think Jason Muhammad probably would have been in there still. Azari Joseph would have been as well. But look, I mean, it's a good experience for these West Indies players who were making their debut, 6 of them. One of them clearly, well, 2 of them have stepped up to the plate in Myers and Akil Hussain and adapts to the conditions well. Okay, let's then put that match to one side because not much of a contest. Let's look very briefly then towards the second ODI venue. First of all, what do West Indies need to do, let's say, to be more competitive in that second ODI?
It's quite simple. They need to bat 50 overs and put a score.
I like that. Short and to the point, because I agree with you. I think they didn't bowl terribly, so I think the batting is the key. You in agreement?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think West Indies just looked not uncomfortable, but they were surprised, number one, with Mustafizur Rahman, his bowling. I think they just didn't realize how good of a bowler he is. I don't think West Indies have faced Bangladesh that often. And he was outstanding in the first 5-6 overs. So definitely think they just need to stay at the crease. As Venu said, if they bat 50 overs at the run rate they were going, yes, they'd get 200, but even 180 on this pitch would have been pretty good target considering the circumstances, because it's slow, it's spinning, and it isn't as easy to get runs on here as you'd probably expect.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Thank you both very much. Anything else you guys want to briefly say before we wrap up here?
I just hope the second ODI is more competitive. That's all I want. A nice competitive ODI.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are from Bangladesh or West Indies, and I think as neutrals, we can all safely say that we want to see competitive cricket and something that's going to excite us. And unfortunately, I don't think this ODI quite did that. And I think we need to take it with a pinch of salt because West Indies don't have their full strength side, and Bangladesh, I'm pretty sure, have everyone available from by what it looks like anyway. So, but well played Bangladesh. Good return for Shakib, which is really exciting, and a couple of good debutants for West Indies. And I'm sure they'll learn from this and they'll go into the second ODI and put on a better display. Okay, thank you very much, both of you. Thanks, Usher from Cricket4Us 2.0. Guys, check out his channel.